Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Finance Committee on April 8th, 2025 at 6:31 p.m. We have all members in the chambers. First item of business is the approval of minutes. I'll need a motion on the draft minutes of the March 11th, 2025 Finance meeting.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of us adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 3, public appearances for non-agenda items. Is there anyone in the chambers here for non-agenda items? And there's no one online. Oh, I don't think there's anyone online. Okay. Looks like we have no one for non-agenda items, so we will move on to item 4, Finance Director Report. Misty?
Hello, thank you. So I'll start with the 2 items that are in the packet. Both of these are treasurer reports that you saw previously, but in the preliminary format. So the December one is in here. It also includes the request for a 3-year, maybe a 4-year history kind of by object is in there as well. So if you wanted to see how this year's expenses compared to other years, that's all available in there too. All of this information is post-audit field work, but we have not yet wrapped up the audit report itself. So there still might be some nuances between this and the final, but this should be at least 99% of the way there. And then for January, the only difference is that we included those additional reports that we include in the other months now as well. So I'll pause to see if there's questions.
Seeing none? Nope.
Excellent. Other than that, so CIP is kicking off. So most of the departments have to have their worksheets to me today. And then Public Works, the big one, is due Thursday, and I'm sure Tim's going to be right on schedule for that. Thanks, Tim. So meeting with the mayor late next week, and then go through that whole process there. And then the new payroll software, we have our first all-day demo this week, Thursday, with one of 3 providers. So really looking forward to moving forward on that project as well.
Wonderful. Comments, questions for Misty? Seeing nothing, we can move on to the review of bills. Item 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above for the period of March 1st to the 31st, 2025, totaling $3,175,989.03. Comments, questions? Bill?
Yeah, there's quite a number of pay-go payments in there. Could you say for the audience at home how that all works?
Absolutely. So pay-go payments are a type of TID incentive. So all of these payments would have been made in accordance with the developer's agreement that was approved by council. And then there's a bond attached to that, which basically lays out the requirements in order for these payments to be made. So the developer has to build what they say they're going to build. They also have to generate taxes to the level that creates the money to pay for these incentives. So we make these payments 2 times a year, April 1st and October 1st. Most of them, you probably noticed, had a principal reduction amount, which means that the taxes generated by the property was not sufficient to make the full payment, so we reduced that principal. Biggest reason for that would be personal property was fully repealed for this last year, plus our tax rate has been going down quite a bit compared to what the projections were. So we only make a payment if the taxes are generated to support it.
Thank you.
Wonderful. We can move on to 5B, detailed review of all checks issued, checks 128367 to 128510 from March 1 to 31, 2025, totaling $3,358,382.95. Comments, questions? Moving on to 5C, detailed review of all ACH payments for $10,000 and above for the period of March 1st to the 31st, 2025, totaling $665,946 even. Comments or questions? 5D, detailed review of all ACH payments from March 1 to 31, 2025, totaling $674,097.07. Moving on to 5E, detailed review of P-card transactions for $10,000 and above for the cycle ending February 6, 2025, totaling $83,773.23. Comments, questions? And wrapping it up with 5F, review of P-card transactions for the cycle ending February 6, 2025, totaling $206,327.89. No comments or questions. We can move on to our next agenda item, action item 6. Action items. 6A, I'll need a motion on ordinance 2025-003. Actually, Jim has a motion.
Yeah, I move that we refer ordinance 2025. Sorry, Scott. I move that we refer ordinance 2025-0-03, establishing a City of Fitchburg motor vehicle registration fee by creating Chapter 10, Article 3, Division 5, and Section 10-291 of the Fitchburg Code of Ordinances to our council meeting, since there will be a public hearing at the beginning of that meeting.
Refer it without a recommendation from
Without
Finance.
a recommendation.
Is there any public comment related to this that we should take? Don't see anybody. Great. Any discussion about the... Oh, do we have public comment? We are not taking a... Okay, great. We're not taking a vote, and you'll have an opportunity to comment at council. Okay. So we'll just hold quickly to see if we have some public comment. Great. So we got no public comment on that ordinance, so we can go ahead and take a vote about referring that to council without a recommendation. And again, that's 2025-003. All in favor of referring, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. It's referred to council. Next item, 6B. I'll need a motion on Resolution R 4525, approving a Moving Fitchburg Forward Strategic Urban Forestry Management Plan consultant.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. And Scott, are you going to kick this off?
Again, sure. Do you want?
Yes, please. Take it away.
Very good. I would like to preface it first by recognizing Anna. She submitted a DNR grant application and did receive funding for this project. So I wanted to mention that. I might summarize the project in one of the whereas clauses. Developing a strategic forestry management plan is a new initiative for the city of Fitchburg and will better enable the city to utilize resources and plan out budget requests and continue to develop the city forestry program more efficiently. This project was publicly bid. We did receive 3 qualified bidders, and Anna actually went through a comprehensive review of the proposals, and I believe it's the tally is included in your packet, and we are recommending eSign Environmental Group for this work.
Great. And the total amount here is just under $25,000, is that right?
Well, the grant is for 25, correct? So yeah, that's going to be the cost, and it is a 50-50 match. So the way that we come up, the city comes up with their matches through in-kind, honest time, and resources for the project.
Great. A wonderful use of grant funding. A note that this requires a 2/3 vote because it changes the revenue and expenditures in a fund. Questions from the committee? Bill.
Yeah, so is the contractor going to work with city staff to develop the plan? Is that where our half of it kicks in? Or is it more the implementation side?
No, we're just creating the plan.
Just for
Bill.
creating the plan.
So it's a case of working with staff to create the plan.
Okay.
Seeing no other questions, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 4525, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our next agenda item, I'll need a motion, 6C. I'll need a motion on Resolution R 4725, approving relocation order for construction of the Cyene Interceptor Phase 2 extension.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler. Tim, floor is yours.
Thank you. The capital improvement plan includes design and construction of the Cyene Interceptor Phase 2 extension. City Council approved R-23-25 awarding design services for the Cyene Interceptor Phase 2 extension to Veerbecker. City of Fitchburg has determined that it is necessary for public purpose to extend the Cyene Interceptor through the Hartung development. It is necessary for the city and for public purpose to acquire property for the project for both permanent and temporary easement interests.
Wonderful. Can you just talk, this is a standard thing that we have to do when we're having projects that require land. Is that correct?
Correct. And for this particular project, it's one property. It's at the address 5098 Haight Farms Road, and there's both a temporary and permanent easement required for this.
Questions from the committee?
I'll just note that the property immediately to the east of this is the North Point and Dreamline development that's going to go in Uptown Hills, I think Tim called it. That was going to we discussed it at council last time.
Mm-hmm. Great. Seeing nothing else, we can take to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 4725, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 6D, I'll need a motion on Resolution R 5225, approval of 2025 spring tree planting plan.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer, and turning it over to you, Scott.
Thank you. This is the Forestry Division's spring tree planting plan. It includes 252 trees, and it's a combination of ash replacement trees along with new development trees. Anna did receive 6 qualified bidders for this project, with a low bid coming from SRB Trees for a total cost of $59,220. And Anna has worked with SRB in the past, and we're satisfied with their work.
And can you talk about what their work is? Not only do they provide the trees, but they actually do the planting?
Yes, they do. Yep. And then provide a 1-year warranty.
Any questions from the committee? It was really cool to read the list of all the different types of trees. I'm struck by how little I know about trees when I read those lists. I was like, wow, I did not know there were that many. So anyway, the wide variety is something really cool that we're doing, is making sure that we have a variety of trees. So if anything else like the emerald ash borer were ever to come, we would not have such a decimation of our tree canopy like is happening with the ash trees. Seeing no other questions. Oh, Bill, go ahead.
I'll just remind everyone that if they go to opendata.fitchburgwi.gov, you'll see a list of all the GIS maps, one of which is a tree inventory. So you can see where all of the current trees are, and at some point, I presume, by next year, we'll see these 250 plus trees as well.
Wonderful. We can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 5225, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 6E, I'll need a motion on Resolution R 5425, authorizing acceptance of the 2025 street resurfacing bid.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler. And Tim?
Thank you. The 2025 street resurfacing project consists of approximately 13,500 tons of hot mix asphalt pavement, 56,000 square yards of pulverizing pavement, 2,700 linear feet of concrete curb and gutter, 1,700 square yards of landscape restoration, as well as other miscellaneous items of work. The Public Works Department has prepared construction plans and specifications and obtained competitive bids. Project was advertised by legal notice in the Wisconsin State Journal on February 14th, 2025 and February 21st, 2025, as well as being posted on questcdn.com. On February 28th, 2025, 3 sealed bids were publicly opened with results listed on the attached bid tab. Tri-County Paving Incorporated's low bid of $1,687,653.02 was found to be in compliance with the bid specifications. There is available funding in the amount of $1,856,418.32 within the street resurfacing. And then there's also $237,000 plus in the parking lot maintenance, and then another $41,000 plus in the paths and sidewalks. Water budget includes $8,500, sewer budget $19,100, and stormwater project $11,220. So we're looking for council to approve the award of the 2025 street resurfacing project to Tri-County Paving Incorporated for a total of $1,856,418.32, which includes a 10% contingency.
Thank you, Tim. Questions from the committee? How close is this to our estimate?
This came in under our estimate.
Once again, nice job adjusting those CIP estimates so we're not constantly being surprised. That's a nice to hear. And then I appreciated all the details about how much physical items are needed to do this. It's pretty wild. 13,500 tons of hot mix asphalt. That blows my mind. So very cool. Other questions? Comments? Seeing none, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 5425, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 6F. I'll need a motion on Resolution R 5525, amending the 2025 TID Closure Excess Increment Fund and Capital Projects Fund budgets for City Hall upgrades.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Who is going to take this one?
I can
Tim?
take this one.
All right, Tim.
There were room upgrades at City Hall, including the meeting room blinds and room access controls, which were recommended. There is sufficient funding available in the TID Closure Access Increment Fund to pay for this one-time project. We're looking for council to amend the 2025 TID Closure Access Increment Fund budget to pay for $1,000 in non-capital City Hall upgrades. And then also looking for council to amend the 2025 TID Closure Access Increment Fund budget to transfer out $23,000 for Capitol Hall City upgrades. And then finally, looking for council to amend the 2025 Capital Projects Fund budget to pay for the Capitol City Hall upgrades with funds transferred from the TID Closure Excess Increment Fund.
Wonderful. So this is a meeting room blinds and genie ceiling and room access control on 5 doors in city and for, not just conference rooms, but a mix of rooms. Questions from the committee? Seeing none. All in favor of Resolution R 5525, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item 6G. I need a motion on Resolution R 5825, approving Amendment Number 1 with Pepper Construction for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design Services for the Police Services Facility.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler.
I've got this one. Good
Chad.
evening, everyone. As we all know, the police services facility is currently under design. I think an update was shared with Common Council via email a couple of weeks ago, as well as a recent appearance of that project at the Plan Commission. Was that last week or coming up this week? I got to get my weeks squared away from being out of the office a couple weeks ago. Regardless, the resolution you have in front of us is related to sustainability improvements at the facility and specifically LEED certification, which, as Alder Gerhardt mentioned, is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This is a process that the library went through when it was constructed back around 2014. I think the library is designated a LEED Silver building, if I recall correctly. But ultimately, this is a process to certify the sustainability and environmental improvements to the facility that are being made, whether that be solar, geothermal, enhanced building envelope to include additional insulation and upgraded windows, and those sorts of things. There is obviously a cost associated with this certification. You can see the total estimated cost is about $170,000. At this point in time, we would look to approve a contract amendment with Pepper Construction. They are doing our construction management services, and they would oversee the work associated with obtaining LEED certification if the Common Council ultimately wish to have that certification done. The city staff did also reach out to the architectural design firm, FGM, and got a quote for the same services. And the Pepper quote was less expensive, so that's why you see that in front of you now. As the project nears its completion for design, we anticipate there will be another budget estimate completed by Pepper Construction, likely towards the end of May. And depending upon where that ultimately comes in, obviously this is something that the council may elect to approve at this point, but then maybe we'll elect to maybe forego if there are any sorts of budgetary concerns as that project continues to get closer and closer to bid. Obviously, with some of the changes at the federal level, there is some price uncertainty where that may ultimately come in. So. Any questions at all at this point?
Questions? Seeing none. All in favor of Resolution R5825, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item, I'll need a motion on Resolution R6025, approving purchase for salt for the 2025-2026 season.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. Turning it over to you, Tim.
Thank you. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation has invited the city of Fitchburg to participate in the cooperative bidding process for the 2025-2026 winter road salt contract. WisDOT will competitively bid the 2025-2026 salt contract. Combining municipal and state quantities typically results in a much lower salt cost per ton for the city of Fitchburg. The vendor has not been selected by the state, but the intention is to use the vendor selected through the WisDOT bid process. Public Works has budgeted $122,200 for road salt for the 2025-2026 winter season. Public Works needs authorization to participate in the cooperative bidding process. Fitchburg Common Council, we're looking for approval to enter into an agreement with WisDOT for the 2025-2026 salt contract, and then subsequently having the mayor sign the contract for the vendor selected by WisDOT for the purchase of road salt in a not to exceed price of $122,200.
Thanks, Tim. And it sounds like WisDOT granted an extension so we could get on this because we canceled our last meeting. So many thanks to WisDOT for letting us sign on to this.
Yes, they did grant us an extension.
Wonderful. Questions, comments? Big necessity for us here in Wisconsin. So all in favor of Resolution R6025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks for your service, Tim. Next item, business 6I. I'll need a motion on resolution R6825, approval to open custodial accounts with Pershing Advisor Solutions / BNY Mellon Bank and engage Ellers Investment Partners as investment advisor. And this is a direct referral. Misty, I assume you'll...
Need a motion first.
Oh,
I'll move approval.
motion approved by Alder Wheeler.
Now I'll take it over.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Misty.
So you may remember a resolution earlier in the year when we were talking about our unspent 2021 debt issuance proceeds. And in that staff memo, I talked about a variety of strategies that we may work towards, one of which was changing our investment of those unspent proceeds from a taxable investment vehicle to a non-taxable investment vehicle. I worked with our current investment provider, and they weren't able to provide an investment type that met the requirements. So reached out to Ellers, and they agreed to help us with this investment for a flat fee. Tammy is here to talk about kind of what Ellers does, and if you have any questions on all of it. But at the end of the day, doing this type of an investment will reduce our arbitrage rebate payment that we'll have to make, and is expected to more than offset this cost to do it. We do have an investment policy that talks about who I'm allowed to invest with. Ellers and Pershing are not on that list currently, which is why this resolution is coming forward to council. I guess, Tammy, if you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Misty, and thank you all for allowing me to be here. Just to reiterate what she had previously presented and some of the solutions that were available, our goal is to mitigate any further accumulation of rebate that will be due by the city. Several products that are available to ensure that that happens are limited in, I would say, your other investment advisor just doesn't provide that as a service. So that is one of the areas that we can help. Many of you are familiar with Ellers. You've probably seen Greg Johnson from my team. I'm just an extension of that group, and really not too dissimilar to what you're familiar with other investment providers. So we'll ensure that the city has easy access to those funds. It will be held in the name of the city, so very similar to other providers. The custodial account will, you'll have monthly statements that will be generated for Misty, so that at the month end, it's a very easy and efficient process. As funds are needed, it's an electronic transfer. We are not charging any fees for any transfers or any reporting capabilities. It's really just that flat fee, as she had mentioned, and it's it's $2,200 as a flat fee. If you were to look at our traditional fee schedule, which I did include in the packet, that would be about 0.25 from a basis point standpoint. And overall, there is interest that will be accumulating on the funds while they are held in our program. So I wouldn't get too excited. It is a variable rate product, but it is designed to be tax exempt. So there will be interest, but it is slightly behind what I would consider market rate of return. And of course, as she had mentioned previously, the goal, of course, is you've likely already earned the interest that was planned for that particular proceed or those projects. Now we really want to keep it in a low risk investment, earn a little bit of income, offset any fees that you have occurred or incurred, you know, not only for our services, but for any sort of arbitrage reporting. And of course, then you have a little bit of income to use towards any projects that you determine will be applicable before they are closed out. Are there any questions for me as far as the information that I had provided?
Questions from Tammy? Nope, nice explanation. Misty, is this going to show up in a special way on our treasurer's report?
Yeah, so similar to right now, at the bottom, there's the section for WISC and PMA. We'll add another section below that for these Ellers investments.
Great, so we'll be able to track that over time.
Yep.
Wonderful. Seeing no questions from the committee, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R6825, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks so much, Tammy. And that brings us to the end of our action items. Next item is announcements. Our next finance meeting is April 22nd, 2025. And one additional announcement, this is Alder Wheeler's final meeting on the Finance Committee. I've served with you for the last 4 years on finance and in council, but you've been with me the whole time on finance, and you've always been an outstanding member of this committee, and we're going to miss you greatly.
Well, I'll say it again. It's time for the younger people with their great ideas to move things forward and for us older people to get out of the way.
Well, enjoy your years of retirement.
Thank
Well
you.
deserved.
Thank you.
And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Alder Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 6:59 p.m. Thank you.